why did I decide to get weight loss surgery? That's $1 million question that comes with a lot to unpack. I think in order to do that, I have to go back and let you know about my childhood and how that plays into a lot of my decision and what led me to being so overweight that I needed to get weight loss surgery. It stems back from me being, well, born a big baby. I was born 11 pounds, 12 ounces, somewhere around there, I believe. And I was very much the byproduct of a broken home. My mom and dad split when I was very young, like 3 or 4 years old. And my mom, my biological mother, was very much in and out of my life up until the age of 10 or 11. And then I didn't see her again until I was 18. I very much had a mother figure in my life as my dad remarried to my stepmom, who stepped into that role despite us having a rocky start. She very much became my mom to the point where I refer to her as that, and I think that she is my mother, and I don't treat her differently, nor does she treat me like a stepson. She very much treats me like her son. Not to mention, both my biological parents, my father and my mother, are adopted. So growing up, there was a lot of questions about who I am and what makes me me. And, it was hard to answer. I grew up loved in a loving family because my dad and my stepmom very much loved me, and it was a good household to grow up in. And my family now is fantastic. My family dynamic in that standpoint. And my father was very much a good father, but there's still that missing piece of it all. Like, there's still that hole that I couldn't fill. And it's one of those things I described as, before I got weight loss surgery, I never knew what full was. I never knew that sensation of being full. I was always hungry, always yearning for more. That emptiness comes from, you have that yearning for a mother's love, especially as a son. Like, there's always that part of you that yearns for that mother's love and compassion. And when it's not there, it creates this void inside of you, or at least in my case it did, that you're always constantly searching to fill. I was recently asked if I could describe how I felt about myself in one word. What would that word be? And without question, it was incomplete. I felt incomplete. And that's kind of how I was through my childhood, is I always felt incomplete. So I would turn to food as a way to try to fill that void. I would sneak food in the middle of the night after eating a good dinner. I would drink soda, by the case sometimes. Candy, I couldn't not pass up candy, and I would eat more than, I would basically eat myself sick. So fast forward, I was always kind of a stockier kid growing up. I wasn't really overweight until I started to become a teenager. And so to that point, I was always overweight, but it wasn't to the point where I was before I had weight loss surgery. I met my first wife, and we had a very rocky, tumultuous relationship, to say the least. We were married for 5 years, and it ended in 2 cases of infidelity. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not at fault for that. I'm not at fault for her deciding to cheat and her going about it the way she did, but I could have been a better husband. I could have been more supportive. And there's a lot of things as a husband at that young age, I feel like I could have done better today, but hindsight being 2020. So after that, there was a lot of manipulation that took place from her point to me, where it was a lot of, well, I don't know if I want to be married, and extending out the divorce, and a lot of back and forth. And it left me in a weird headspace. And we were together so long that I lost who I was. So I was trying to rediscover myself. In trying to rediscover myself, I also hurt a lot of people, I'm sure, in that wake, because I started to date again, but I wasn't ready to start to date again. And I always had that. I've always been that person that, like, when I'm with someone, I'm dedicated to them. I took vows. My vows matter. I hold them dear to my heart. And So even though we were separated and we hadn't been together in a long time, since we were still legally married, every time I was in the company of another woman, I felt like I was doing something wrong. And in return, even though I wasn't, and in return, that would eat away at me to a point where it would make me so sick that I wouldn't call them back or talk to them again, or I found a reason not to pursue anything with them, or I found a reason to not want to be with them, or a flaw that really wasn't that big a deal, but to me it was a big deal because it was more about me than it was about them. So I eventually got to a point after rocky relationship after rocky relationship after rocky relationship, in and out, and all these people coming in and out of my life, that I decided, well, I'm going to eat myself to the point where I'm disgusting, where nobody will be physically attracted to me. And that's what I did. I've had many of stints with weight. Like, weight is something I struggled with my entire life. I lost 100 pounds doing HCG, which is basically the drops under the tongue, and start not eating any more than 800 calories in a starvation diet. I put that back on real quick. After I got married to my recent wife, leading up to our wedding, I did portion control, lost 70 pounds, and I put that on after the wedding because I just got comfortable. I got to this point where, like I said, I didn't want to be approached to anybody. It was an armor. I was putting on an armor. The weight was an armor. Nobody wants to be attracted to someone so grotesquely overweight. And I felt like I wanted to eat myself till I was disgusting, and I felt like I got to that point. I credit my wife, Erin, a lot for this because we met, and she's kind of been the one that's helped me and encouraged me and broken down this armor, where no matter how I acted or how disgusting I thought I was, she was there to be that voice of praise of, I think you're handsome. I think you're this, you're great. You're that. She really helped put a chink in that armor to where I got to the point where I was finally like, okay, I want to get healthy for me. I want to get healthy for her. And then, after 6 months of being with her, I proposed. And then a few weeks later, we found out we were pregnant with our first daughter. Well, my first daughter, her second daughter. And that kind of spearheaded it too. But by that point, I was already well into my 30s. My knees had hurt. My back hurt. And I was eating myself because I didn't care if I lived or died. I was using food as a way to essentially work towards ending my life. And because I didn't care if I had a heart attack, I had nothing to live for. I had my parents, yes, my dad and my mom, my stepmom, but that was it. I didn't have that companionship that I longed for, because deep down, like, that's what I really wanted. And I lost that when I got divorced from my ex-wife, and everything that kind of went on there that led to where I ballooned up to fucking over 400 pounds. So my wife and my daughter became my wives. And with I suffered from knee pain, from back pain, shortness of breath. I always said that when I get when I hit a major medical issue, that's when I'll snap out of it and really get in the gym and work to it. And becoming pre-diabetic didn't stop that. So that I was fooling myself. That never came. So those were kind of the wake-up calls, was a lot of my health concerns. The biggest wake-up call was, I think, right after our wedding. My wife and I went to our brunch for a friend of my wife's best friend's birthday. And we were sitting in the restaurant, and I got this really sharp pain in my chest. And I'm talking like took my breath away, sharp. And then instantly I got a migraine. And it was just the worst migraine I've ever had. So I'm thinking, holy shit, am I having a heart attack right now? I kind of waited the day out, and it happened again later that night. It just real quick, just so sharp pain, so sharp that it took my breath away. And I was like, I've got to go to the emergency room. And we went. And they said, my heart rate was up, blood pressure was through the roof, but there was nothing on an EKG that showed a heart attack. They did an x-ray of my chest. Nothing looked blocked. I didn't have any blocked arteries or anything like that. So that should have been my wake-up call too, but it wasn't. I kept on my track. My real wake-up call came at the birth of my second daughter and Aaron's third daughter. And it really became like, my first daughter was getting older and I wanted to be there and be around for them. I wanted to experience life with them. I wanted to be able to be that dad that could run and play with them. I wanted to go to Disney without problems. I wanted to travel. My wife likes to travel. I didn't want to be bound by my weight. And the hard part is like I love traveling, but a lot of my issues with traveling stem from the planning of, well, I'm a bigger person. I have to get a bigger seat, or I have to make sure I have 2 seats, or the leg room. It's just so much of a hassle to travel as a bigger person that I wasn't happy, and I always tried to find excuses around it. I've had many failed attempts. Like I said, I've tried to lose the weight on HCG. I've tried doing it through diet. I've tried doing it through exercise. I've tried doing it through Weight Watchers. I've tried doing it through weight loss medications. Lots of avenues where I tried to lose weight. It's taken a huge emotional toll on me just because it's affected my mental health, and it still does, to the point where like I don't see myself any lighter. At the point of recording this, I've lost 76 pounds and I don't see myself any lighter. And that is very much the, I'm drawing a blank on the word, body dysmorphia of it all. So in looking at this, I've wanted to lose weight, but I became so disgusted with myself every time I looked into a mirror. And I struggled with keeping it off, struggled with a lot of things emotionally. And food is always that thing that I've come back to. And that one thing that helps me when nothing else seems to. My breaking point in all of this was earlier this year. I went to the doctor. Actually, it was a couple years ago. It caused a lot of, let me back up. It caused a lot of health issues being overweight. I had to have my gallbladder out because I was abusing my body. The physical abuse my body took from the way I mistreated it, it caused my gallbladder to rupture, and I had to have my gallbladder removed. And doing that, I ended up getting a hernia. And after that, 2 years after that, I ended up having to have another hernia surgery. And both times, my gallbladder ruptured when I had to have the first hernia surgery. And the second hernia surgery, the doctors have said you might want to consider weight loss surgery, because right now at the weight you are, you're going to struggle to lose weight through traditional means, and it's going to be damn near impossible. Damn near impossible are words that I never thought I would hear coming about weight loss, but it is. It feels like when you're that big, or as big as I was and still am, because I'm a work in progress, damn near impossible is like a death sentence. And that's what it felt like. My body was giving up on me because I mistreated it for so long. So I decided to see my doctor and after the hernia surgeries and kind of start the process of things. I was put on a weight loss medication that it wasn't a semaglutide. It was another one. It was called Victoza. I was put on Victoza and blood pressure medications and metformin and vitamin D and all these medications that I'd never taken before in my life, because I'd gotten that far in this without realizing it, because I would avoid mirrors at all costs. I would avoid just having to see myself in any way, shape, or possible as much as I can. I would avoid photos. So I kind of built up to that. And earlier this year, my wife and I took a trip to Chicago for my wife's other friend's wedding. And in that wedding, I was going to sit down in a chair. It was an outside wedding, and most of it was patioed, but there was this one section that we sat in that was off the patio, and it was in soft ground because they had just I don't know if the night before they had watered or they just watered, but it was just wood chips over the ground. I sat in the chair sunk into the ground, and I fell, and I was utterly embarrassed. I wanted to leave. I didn't want to be there anymore, but I stayed for my wife. And up to that point, I kind of started the process of weight loss surgery and talking to a bariatric surgeon, but it was just to get information to see what my options were. It really wasn't any seriousness behind it. But that moment and that trip was kind of what opened my eyes with all of it. I came up with my whys then. It was time to make a change. It was time to do this. It was time to desire and achieve a long-term change. So I started doing research. I started looking in more into the weight loss surgery. I booked all the appointments that I had been neglecting to book as soon as we got home, and was working on getting those out of the way. It was kind of that wake-up call that the way I'm going, I'm not going to be alive to see my daughters graduate high school. I'm not going to be alive for all these milestones in my daughter's life. I'm not going to be alive to watch my daughters grow up. I'm not going to be alive to watch my daughters walk down the aisle. I'm not going to be alive to spend the rest of my life with my wife, someone who is completely and vastly different from anybody I've ever dated, and somebody who I can't wait to talk to every morning, and who I love going to sleep next to at night, so much so that I don't like when we have to be apart. She is my rock and very much saved my life in a lot of aspects. So they became my whys. My wife, her love of travel, my desire to travel and see the world, and to see my daughters grow up, and to be the father to them that I think they deserve, to be able to run with them, play with them, take them to Disney, go to have fun things, travel, and not always have to sit on the sidelines and miss out because my weight was stopping me. So I did a lot of research, and it led me to finally deciding. I was always on the fence about weight loss surgery. Like, I was like, let me just find out where I go. And in finding out where to go, it like snowballed, where I did my labs and I got the x-rays and diagnostic testing on the stomach they want you to do to see how you swallow and all that. And it was like, I got a call and they were like, boom, let's go. How about I got a call on a Wednesday, and like, how about Monday we do it? And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. I need to extend it out. And they're like, okay, how about the following Monday? It was kind of like, it's now or never. I'm not very much of a religious person, that I feel like there is a higher power up there. Is it the way that any one religion puts it? I don't know. Is it potentially a higher power? I don't know. But I believe in the power of the universe and things like that, as strange and as corny as that sounds. So I was like, maybe this is the universe's way of giving me a sign that it's time to do this. So I said, okay, let's do it. Let's go forward with weight loss surgery. I've tried everything else. I've tried doing the keto diet. I've tried doing Weight Watchers. I've tried doing the weight loss shots. I've tried eating in a calorie deficit. I've tried HCG. I've tried everything under the sun to lose weight, and nothing helped. It kept going back. So I was like, let's do it. And another universal sign was that Dr. Landon, the doctor who did my surgery, is a massive Green Bay Packers fan, just like I am. So I was like, she came in wearing a Green Bay Packers, bandana. And I was like, I turned to my dad, because my dad was with me in surgery, or was there with me when I had my surgery, because my wife had to stay with the kids and work. I said, that's a great sign right there, because it's a family thing. My grandfather was a Packers fan, and he knew a lot of great Packers legends from his time in Wisconsin, like Fuzzy Thurston and others. My dad is a massive Packers fan, been in their locker room, watched the moon landing at Fuzzy Thurston's house and things like that. So I took it as a great sign from the universe that I was in good hands and things were going to be okay. I kind of get the stigma when I'm doing research, the stigma of weight loss surgery is the easy way out. This is the easy way out. It's not the easy way out. I promise you that 110%. It is a tool that you can use to help you drastically lose the weight much faster than you would otherwise. I've lost 76 pounds in a little over 2 months, almost 3 months at the time of recording this. So there's that stigma that it's the easy way out. Don't listen to that. Put that aside. It is not the easy way out. I'm here to tell you this is not easy. I have good days and I have bad days and I have shitty days. But what I've learned through all this so far and where I'm at now, from the beginning of why I had surgery to the end, is that I now know through the surgery that it's offered me tools in many phases of my life, not just the weight loss phase of it. I now know what it feels like to be physically full. When I eat 3-4 ounces of chicken or steak or whatever and vegetables, I physically feel full. And if I eat any more than that, like my symptoms are my stomach will start to hurt and my nose will start to run, or I'll start sneezing. And I know at that point I'm full. And if I eat any more of that than that, it's going to make me sick. I have that tool now that I didn't have before that shows me that I am physically full, but I'm still not emotionally full. I'm still don't know what it feels like to be emotionally full, because I have a lot of love from my dad and my mom and my wife and my kids, but there's still that hole in me that yearns to be complete, and that love that a biological mother has for her son isn't there in it to fill that hole, and it's what's missing. And I think a lot of people can relate with that, and a lot of people have that and understand what I'm saying, that you grow up with that hole that could just never be filled. So I understand that I can't use food as that filler anymore, because where I'm now physically full, I'm not emotionally full. So the two don't correlate with each other for me anymore. When I've found myself a couple times where I'm falling back into old traits, where I'll just go to the cabinet and look, and go to the fridge and look, and I'm not hungry, but I'm eating because I'm upset about something or frustrated about something, whether that's something that happened with my kids or something that happened with work or just whatever. I still have that mechanism right now where I go in and I'm just mindlessly trying to graze. But with this surgery, it's helped me to snap out of it, because on the flip side of it, I've become so hyper focused with what's going in my body that I use the bariatric app. I log all my foods, I log all my weights, I log every time I take my vitamins, I log how much water I'm drinking. I'm so hyper focused now of what I'm putting in my body that I wasn't before, that it helps me snap out of it and go, you're not hungry. You don't need this. You're not looking for something to eat. You're looking to deal with this emotional void that you're not going to fill through this way. So I have started realizing that and recognizing that and switching it to going to do something to better occupy my time to help me work it out, whether that's go to the gym or clean my office or whatever it may be. I'm learning how through this surgery to not use food as a tool. I'm learning how to use food to survive, but not as emotional support. And in doing so, I've learned, and with talking with people through this whole thing so far, the whole 3-month process I've been through, going on 3-month process I've been through, I've learned that I would use my weight as armor, so to speak. It was an armor to protect myself from people getting too close from me and hurting me in the way that I've been hurt through my entire life. Women I love coming in and out of my life with reckless abandon, to say, but I've been wearing it as an armor. So now through this process, not only do I say this surgery is a tool for your weight loss, but it's also been a tool for me mentally to see that I have been using weight and food to protect me when it's time to stop doing that and open myself up. So with this, what I'm looking to do is not only lose weight to better my life, to better my children's lives, to better my relationship with my wife, to be more healthier, to be able to travel, to be able to not be in pain, to enjoy life, to not be the guy that's overweight riding around in a cart that he doesn't need at Walmart because he gets out of breath real quick. I'm shedding that weight and I'm shedding that armor, and I'm choosing to do so and replace it by building an army. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is to hopefully reach out to someone who is in my situation, who is maybe doesn't feel loved, or doesn't feel like they belong, or doesn't feel like they have a purpose, and they're eating themselves to death, and they don't care how they look, they don't care how big they are, they don't care whether they live or die. I'm here to tell you, you matter, and it does matter that you're here, and that, you know, whether I know you yet or whether we're gonna meet at some point through all this, you matter, and I want you to be here, just like I know there's people in my life now that want me to be here. It is hard. It is a hard decision to decide to do weight loss surgery. It's a big decision. You got to do your research. You got to look into all aspects of it. And that's why I said when I made my first video that, like, looking into this and researching it online, I didn't find a lot of people that were going through and really being raw and letting themselves be raw about the way things are going and how they feel, and if they're just having a shitty day. And that's what I intend to do here, is you're gonna see me at my most raw and vulnerable. And I'm sure there's still gonna be times where I'm protecting myself because I'm shedding that armor slowly. It's not something that it's coming off quickly, but I want to shed my armor and instead build an army of supportive people that have been through the same situations, whether it's you're starting out or you're well into this. I'm just starting out for all intensive purposes, and I'm giving you my point of view on all of this. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is my point of view of how I'm seeing the weight loss surgery. So I just want you to know and invite you to shed that armor with me, and let's build an army. Let's build a community. Let's support each other through all this. This whole process has been an emotional toll, not only on me, but for my family. My wife would tell me how handsome I am and how much she loves me, and I would always say thanks, but I don't feel that way, or thanks, but, and I had to look inside myself with some help from mental professionals to see that that's not a good way to look at it. That's dismissing her feelings, and just to say, you know, thank you, or, you know, no rebuttal, just thank you, and nothing after that. So it's a lot of work, both physically and mentally. I'm here to tell you, and that's why they have you talk to therapists before you have the surgery and after, because it is a lot of work. My desire for long-term change, though, is I'm a huge comic book fan, as you can see behind me. I love to go to San Diego Comic-Con every year. I yearn for the day that I can walk through that convention all day without my knees hurting or back hurting, or wishing I got a scooter because it's so much walking and physical exertion. And I hope that come next year's San Diego Comic-Con, I'm at that point and ready to do it, because I'm putting in the work. I'm excited. It's been a lot for me to get to this journey, and I don't discredit it at all. And I'm just like, I won't discredit that it's going to be a lot for you to get to this point. No matter what your goals are, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Put in your strongest, best effort. And if you've only lost 30, 20, 15 pounds at whatever stage you are, be happy, because it's a lot of work. A lot of people would be, you know, happy to lose 15, 20 pounds in 4 months, and I've lost 76 in 2.5 months. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. But you have to address the stigma head on. Don't let people tell you this is the easy way out. It's not the easy way out. It is a tool. You still have to put in the work. You have to put in the work by deciding to go to the gym. First of all, you got to put in the work by deciding that you're worth getting better for. You got to find your whys, that, you know, whether it's your family, your significant other, or whatever it is, you know, whether you want to be like me and you love going to Comic Cons or anime cons or whatever it is that is your why, find it, hold on to that, cherish it, and go for it. That's all I can really say about this kind of thing. Is don't let this, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. And just because you got this tool, like I said, you still have to put in the work. You have to choose to eat the right stuff. You have to choose the exercise. You have to choose to stop when your body's giving you the signs to stop. You have to choose to make sure you're taking your vitamins every day. You have to choose to make sure that you're, not reverting back to the old habits that got you to this place. And that's kind of how I've looked at it and what I've decided. And you're going to be tired. There's days where you're going to have so much energy, you're ready to go, 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 go. And there's going to be days where you're absolutely exhausted. I'm kind of in the middle today where I had a little bit of energy and now I'm hitting a low point to the point where I'm getting exhausted. And it's hard because people aren't going to understand your level of exhaustion. It's different. Your body is used to, being you overeating, you running on so many calories and carbs to now when you have the surgery, you're lucky to get 1,200 calories in a day, way less than that starting out. I think I haven't even hit 1,200 calories yet. And I'm 2.5 months in. I'm eating maybe 800 to 900 a day. And I was starting out at 500 my first few weeks. So it's a building process to get you back up there, but it's all about making those choices. And I made those choices because I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my wife and my parents and my siblings and my kids. And I want to experience life. And life is short. Life is fleeting. As you never know how much more time you have. So why do I want to spend it hurting? Why do I want to spend it overweight just for that little bit of joy food would bring me? It's not worth it to me anymore. I would rather fill my life with the joy that being surrounded by my loved ones, participating, being present in all aspects of my life is going to bring me. The impact on my daily life is, like I said, some days are good, some days are bad. Some days I've got all this energy, some days I don't. Some days my knees don't hurt at all, some days they do. Some days my back doesn't hurt at all, some days they do. Some days I feel like I've lost 76 pounds. Some days I feel like I'm right back to being 477 pounds. That's right. I was 477 pounds on the day of my surgery. That's actually something I would have never said, but I'm going to be transparent with you. That's what I want from this. So my starting weight on my biggest I ever got to was 520 pounds. My biggest was 525 pounds. Man, saying that out loud, the shock and just reality of it all sets in. The day of my surgery, I was 477 pounds and I'd lost a lot of that. I was 420 pounds on my wedding day and I gained that all back. So surgery date, I was 477 pounds. And that's insane to think about right now, where I'm at. And I've still got a long way to go. This is not the stopping point by any means. And finding inspirations too. One of my biggest inspirations is writer-director Kevin Smith. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. So much so that he married my wife and I. We had 2 weddings because it was always my dream to be married by Kevin Smith. The minute I found out that he was an ordained minister, it was a dream. We had, a regular ceremony for our families that my wife's friend married us, and I'm very thankful she did. And then I got to have the dream wedding on the Clerks 3 road tour to have Kevin Smith marry us, and he signed our marriage certificate. So it is a legit thing. He legitimately married us. So when he tells the story of his heart attack, and he used to be as big as I was, I was bigger than him, and he talked about getting kicked off a plane and all that. I found inspiration in that. I found inspiration in this story. I found inspiration from YouTubers like Boogie2988. I know he's not really the most influential or positive figure in a lot of people's eyes right now, but for whatever reason, but his weight loss journey is, because you saw him and you continue to see him go through the struggles of weight loss, and he's very raw and real about that. So I respect him as far as, being a fellow big man who's going through the process, and you see his struggles, and he's very open about his struggles with mental health and his struggles with his body and losing weight and things like that. And you see Kevin now thriving after having a heart attack and being vegan now, and how much weight he's lost. And thankfully I'm getting out, or I've made this decision. I shouldn't say getting out, because it could happen at any point in time, but I made this decision to get healthier before I had a heart attack, But what did it cost me? It cost me a gallbladder, 2 hernia surgeries, and a lot of wear and tear on my body. 2 hurt knee or severely arthritic knees, lower back pain. Being this big and the choices I've made as far as life goes and how I chose to deal with the pressures and I don't want to say pressures, but how I chose to deal with the pains of life and use food to blow myself up to, over 400 pounds and make it to where I was just physically disgusting to most people in the world wasn't right. And it took one person to see through that and to see me for who I am and love me for who I am, to change, to help, I would say help change this stigma and help me see my importance in life and help me see how important being here is and being healthier is. And that's why I chose to do it. That's why I chose to have this surgery, is because it was going to give me a tool that would help me drastically change my life. And it already has in a lot of ways. I can tell you that just by losing 76 pounds and still having so much more to lose, but at this point, just losing 76 pounds and being able to see the joy on my face as the scale numbers drop, or if I'm in a plateau, see the ways my clothes are fitting, see the way, things are. Like, I've tried on smaller clothes and my body starts to freak out. Like, it's this weird thing. I can't describe it, but my body starts to literally have a panic attack where I'm like, no, I can't be in this shirt. It's hugging my body too much. I need to go back to my bigger shirts. And I do. And that's just part of the armor that I got to shed. So I'm working on that. But I'll leave you on that aspect again, is find your whys. Change it now before you have that heart attack. Change it now before it's too late. If you're taking this journey and you need someone to confide in, reach out to me on social, reach out to me in below. Let's start a community. Let's shed this armor together and start building our armies, and let's be in this together. I'm looking to build a community, and that's ultimately what I want to do. So let's start off that community, and I'm just going to leave you on this. You don't think you can do it, but you can. You don't think change is possible, but it is. You just have to find your whys and hold on to them every step of the way, because it's going to be hard, but it's worth it in the end. And even just losing 76 pounds in a little over 2 months, I can see how much it was worth it. And I know I started to say in my last couple of videos, like, I wasn't at a place where I could say that this is the best decision I've ever made. I'm still not there yet, but I'm getting there. It's to the point where, like, physically I'm feeling better, but I'm not where I want to be. But when I see how quickly it's coming off and how dedicated I am and how much it's changing my attitude and my way of thinking, because I've normally been a very negative person, I've started to find more positivity in things, and I've started to look at things differently and change my insight on things. Just know that where I felt like I had no escape, that there's always a way out. It's just a matter of how badly do you want to get out? Are you willing to do the work to get out? And are you worth getting out? And I'm here to tell you that at the end of the day, I'm worth it. You're worth it. So find those whys, find your reason, find love for yourself again. But that's all I got for you guys this time. Stay tuned for my next video, where we're going to be talking about surviving and thriving during the holidays after weight loss surgery. So I'm excited for that one. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope that you're seeing those non-scale victories. And if you're just in the starting point of this journey, do your research, look into it, take this seriously, and don't listen to the stigmas of this is an easy way out, because it's not. It's a tool that's going to help you better your life as long as you choose to use it. Like I said, the knights in the olden days, they fought with weapons. Their weapons were a tool to help protect them and save their lives, and also take a life, but let's not focus on that. But, use that tool. This surgery is my sword as I'm getting ready to shed the armor and build my army. And I hope you guys are willing to come with me on that journey. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign.